Hi United fans, welcome back. There is plenty happening around Manchester United as Michael Carrick's side continues preparations for the new season, and the latest developments could make the final weeks of the summer transfer window absolutely fascinating. From Marcus Rashford's return to the first-team environment to fresh developments involving Rafael Leão, Carlos Baleba, Manu Kone, Aurelien Tchouameni, and the search for a new left-back, United's recruitment team still appears to have plenty of work to do before the window slams shut. So Reds, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications and stay with us, because this could be a very busy period at Old Trafford. One of the biggest talking points is Marcus Rashford. According to Samuel Luckhurst, Rashford is scheduled to reunite with the Manchester United squad this weekend and is expected to travel to Dublin on Sunday as the club continues its pre-season preparations. This is certainly an interesting development because Rashford's future has been one of the biggest talking points surrounding Manchester United for months. There has been plenty of speculation about a possible permanent departure, but if no suitable move materialises, the England international is now preparing to return to the United environment and work under Michael Carrick. Kobbie Mainoo and Lisandro Martinez are also expected to join the squad this weekend, which could give Carrick another major boost as he continues putting his squad together ahead of the new campaign. For Rashford, this could be a very important moment. If he does remain at Manchester United, he will have to prove that he can rediscover his best form and become an important player again. There is no doubt about his talent, his pace or his ability to score goals, but consistency will be absolutely crucial. Personally, I believe this situation is worth watching very closely. If Rashford returns with the right mentality, works hard during training and performs strongly in pre-season, could Carrick give him another opportunity? Or has the relationship between Rashford and the club reached the point where a permanent transfer would be better for everyone? United fans, what do you think? Should Manchester United give Marcus Rashford another chance, or should the club still look for a permanent solution? Meanwhile, Rafael Leão's name continues to circulate around the Premier League. According to TalkSport, Leão has been offered to Leeds United, Manchester United and Arsenal as he explores the possibility of moving to England. His representatives have reportedly contacted several English clubs, although none of those approaches are currently expected to progress. The Portuguese winger remains under contract at AC Milan for another 2 years, meaning any potential transfer would still require a significant agreement with the Italian club. Galatasaray and Fenerbahce are also reportedly interested. From a Manchester United perspective, Leão would certainly be an exciting attacking option. His explosive pace, ability to carry the ball, physical power and 1-versus-1 quality make him the type of player who can completely change the dynamic of an attack. But United have to ask themselves an important question. Is another expensive attacking player really the priority right now? With the midfield still requiring attention and the left-back position also being discussed internally, I would personally prioritise those areas before making a huge investment in another winger. That does not mean Leão should be ignored. If the opportunity becomes realistic and the financial package makes sense, United would be foolish not to consider him. But recruitment has to be balanced. The club cannot simply collect big-name attackers while leaving important weaknesses elsewhere on the pitch. Manchester United and Chelsea have reportedly inquired through intermediaries about Brentford striker Igor Thiago. However, Brentford have made their position extremely clear. They have no intention of selling the Brazilian striker, who is considered a key part of their project. This is another interesting development because United have been looking at their attacking options, and having a striker capable of providing physical presence, movement and goals would give Carrick another weapon. But if Brentford are genuinely unwilling to negotiate, United may have to look elsewhere. The question is whether United are actually searching for another striker right now or simply keeping tabs on the market and monitoring opportunities. Another major development concerns Lewis Hall. Newcastle have reportedly informed Manchester United that the England international is not for sale. This summer, after previously rejecting an initial inquiry. Hall is highly admired by United, but Newcastle's position makes a deal extremely difficult. Manchester United still have to decide whether bringing in a new left-back should be a priority before the transfer window closes. Luke Shaw remains an important player when fit, while the squad also needs enough depth and reliability in that position to compete across an entire Premier League campaign. In my opinion, this is one position United cannot afford to ignore if the recruitment team believes the current options are not strong enough. But Newcastle's stance means United may need to move down their shortlist and identify another target. Could this situation eventually push United towards Anthony Robinson or another alternative, or will the club decide that the existing options are sufficient and focus its remaining resources on midfield? And then we have Carlos Baleba. According to Fabrizio Romano, Baleba has been pushing relentlessly for a move to Manchester United since last year and has continued doing so this summer. That is certainly something United supporters will be watching closely. Baleba has been one of the names most strongly associated with Manchester United in recent transfer windows, and the midfielder possesses many of the qualities United need: physicality, defensive ability, ball-carrying power, and the ability to cover ground. However, his recent injury has complicated the situation, although it is not expected to keep him out for an extended period. For me, Baleba remains one of the most fascinating possibilities because this is not simply a case of United liking the player. The player himself has reportedly been pushing for the move, but Brighton are under no obligation to sell. The big question is therefore the price. If Brighton demand an enormous fee, should United walk away and invest elsewhere? Or should the club make one final major push to bring Baleba to Old Trafford? Personally, if Carrick and the recruitment team believe Baleba is the right midfielder for the next 5 years, I would understand United making a serious attempt. United need players who can improve the team immediately, while also having the potential to become long-term stars. Manchester United also remain interested in Manu Kone at AS Roma, according to reports. United are believed to be looking for another defensive midfielder before the transfer window closes, and Kone is understood to be one of the players the club appreciates. Kone would bring a different profile to the midfield. He is energetic, powerful, aggressive in challenges, and capable of carrying the ball forward. These qualities could be particularly useful in a Manchester United midfield that needs greater intensity and physical presence. The interesting thing is that United appear to have several midfield options under consideration, including Baleba, Manu Kone, Andre Santos, Ederson and Yuri Tielemans. And now there are also reports linking United with one of the biggest names in European midfield, Aurélien Tchouaméni. According to reports, Manchester United are also showing interest in Real Madrid and France midfielder Aurélien Tchouaméni. Now, this would obviously be a huge statement if United were able to pull it off. Tchouaméni has experience at the highest level, has played for Real Madrid and France, and possesses the tactical intelligence, physical strength and defensive qualities required to operate in front of the defence. However, realistically, a deal involving Real Madrid would be extremely complicated. The French midfielder is an important player, and Real Madrid are not a club that normally allows elite players to leave cheaply. United would therefore need to convince both the player and the Spanish giants that a move makes sense. But if there is one thing we have learned from Manchester United's transfer activity, it is that the club is clearly trying to build a stronger midfield. Looking at the entire situation, my personal opinion is that Manchester United's biggest priority before the transfer window closes should be midfield. The club needs more control, more defensive protection, more physicality, more energy, more ball progression, and, most importantly, more consistency. Carrick cannot be expected to compete for the Premier League title with a midfield that becomes vulnerable whenever one or two players are unavailable. Whether it is Baleba, Manu Kone, Tchouaméni or another midfielder completely, United need to make sure they bring in the right player rather than simply signing someone because the transfer window is approaching its deadline. The left-back position also deserves serious attention, especially after Newcastle's stance on Lewis Hall. And then there is Rashford. If he returns and performs, Carrick suddenly has another attacking option who could become extremely important. This is why the next few weeks could be absolutely massive for Manchester United. The club already has new faces, Carrick has a new challenge ahead of him, and United supporters are desperate to see a side capable of competing at the top end of English football again.